Hi everybody, all my followers, be welcome to another video. Right, I have the Maxis connected. It's not yet on the program because I haven't logged in yet. But I'm going to take it just in case if I need it. But basically the core is a... Let me see because I don't even know what this is. It's a B150. B150, I think this is the 1.6 or 1.5 petrol engine, I think it is. Anyway, I know it's petrol. And the complaint with this car is that above 30 miles per hour, the car starts to jittering. That's what I was told. I went for a quick drive just around here, and I got the car to about 50 miles per hour, and I could not feel anything. The only thing I definitely felt is that when you brake, you can feel the pedal pulsing, but that is discs and pads. It's not the pulsing is not the ESP or ABS unit. It's not that. At least at that speed it wasn't. What it is basically you can feel the pedal. So when you press, you can feel the pedal sort of giving a feedback. Yeah, and you can feel is the discs just sort of moving it, just pushing back the pistons in the calipers. But yeah, so apparently there is a jittering. I'm not sure what it is. He said it's jittering, it's shaking. I had to ring the guy when I got back home to understand better what the problem was, and that's why he explained to me. But he said to me, "Oh, just try it for a little bit longer, and you'll be able to feel it." So what we're gonna do? I'm gonna go for a drive. I don't have much time because it's pretty much 4 o'clock. It's gonna be dark in a minute. But it should be enough for me to go and test it and see if I can feel or experience that jittering. That I asked the guy, is like missing, and he said no, it's not missing, it's something else. I have no engine light, no warning lights. Let me actually start this thing and you can see. So as you can see, I have no warning lights. Actually, I didn't even check if I have all the lights coming on. Yeah, I do. So I have... Yeah, I have engine, ABS, so yeah, I have everything, I think. I don't have ESP. Does this thing has ESP? Does not have ESP because I don't see anywhere where to turn it off, but some are turned off on the menus. Maybe that it has the ESP, I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, let's gonna go for a drive and try to see if I can figure out what's wrong with this. Okay, and nearly a month later, we are back into this. As you can see, the car had new discs and new pads, front and rear, as you can see. Okay, now why a month later? I will explain you in a second. I'm gonna explain the whole story actually. Oh my god. Oh. So the car, let me put the matrices here. Let's close the door and let me take you through the story as I might explain to you. Well, if you've seen the video for the Jeep, I kind of spoke a little bit in there about this car. So the car was here at the beginning of December. So today is 29th of December 2022, and the car was here right at the beginning of the month. And now, as I explained you at the beginning of the video, I could start this just a new clip, but there is not really point. So I drove the car that day, and the car drove absolutely perfect. I've scanned the car. I don't think I've showed you that yet. I will show you because the code is back, but basically was a code in there on the gearbox, which I think is the code that is causing the complaint. Now, I drove the car for a good 20 minutes. Nothing would happen. I rang the guy and I said, look, the car is doing nothing. It's driving absolutely fine, blah, 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 blah. And he said, oh, I'll go there and I will show you. That's when he exchanged the Jeep for this one. Anyway, we went for a drive on this, and indeed the guy said, I don't understand, he's not doing nothing now, blah blah blah. So I explained to him there was a coding issue. If he comes back, that's probably what is causing the issue, but if he's not doing it now, it's a little bit difficult to just go completely blind and try to start to fix it without actually seeing the problem. Anyway, which we're kind of going to do anyway, but the guy took the car away, and then a few days later, or maybe a week later actually, he rang me back saying that he drove the car daily and the car did the same thing again. Now, In the meantime, as you've seen, he had new discs, new pads, blah blah blah, so the car is not making that pulse on the brake anymore or anything. But he also said to me something strange, which is, he said, if you go forward or reverse when you are on full lock, there is a sort of a pulsing coming from the front wheels. I've checked it, and basically why he's doing this, it looks like if the wheels are not both, when you have full lock, it looks like if the front wheels are now both at the same angle, and when you start to reverse, one of the wheels, which is this on this side, if you are full lock this side, this way to the right, if you are full lock to the left, is the left wheel. And basically what it does is, as you start to reverse, this wheel starts to do this. It's like if it's not turning at the same angle. He said, oh, I think that might be the ESP, something. It's nothing to do with that. I said, look, the only thing that can be is maybe if the car is not 100% aligned. But is nothing electronically or nothing like that. Anyway, the problem for the gearbox, he explained me again what the gearbox does. And I'm going to show you the code that was there right at the beginning. And I'm not going to drive the car. I'm not going to try to make that happen, because last time I drove for like 20 minutes or maybe more and I couldn't make the problem to happen. So I'm not going to be here try to do it again. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to scan the car. I'm going to show you what the code is. And I'm going to put the car on ramps. Well, I'll take you through next. But to start, let's go and scan the car, and I'll show you exactly what the code is on the gearbox. Okay, and we're going to go quickly just to the gearbox. I'm not interested on anything else on the car. So the code on the gearbox is going to be a new code, because I've cleared the codes before I gave the car back to the guy at the beginning of the month, when I initially gave the car back to him. And you're going to see that the same code came back. I don't know how many codes we're going to have here now, but hopefully it's just the one. There's actually two. I'm not sure about the second code. But basically the code that I believe is making the car to judder and to miss and to have that erratic sort of driving is this first code, which is the 0722. I'm not sure if there is a P code for this. Is that a P code? No, there isn't. No, there isn't. Anyway, is this RPM sensor, RPM signal from the component Y3/9B5 continuous variable transmission CVT output RPM sensor is unavailable. Now, if I go to here, so let's just go back just to make sure, because then on the live data it doesn't really show me the name of the component, but it says output RPM sensor. Now, if I go here to my live data, and I go to, I think it's speeds. Oh, damn it. I think it's one of these, but I think, oh, there is, sorry. That one in there. Transmission output speed. So that's the one that I think is failing. Now, this is, if I start the car, I don't want to start the car too much, because basically, guys, we're going to have to take the Mechatronics out in order to replace that sensor, if I'm going to replace the sensor. Now, from my understanding, these sensors, they can obviously fail. It might be worth to get a start out, so I could show you the drawings, etc. But is the Mechatronics out? There's no two ways about this. And then there is two sensors in there, that Y9B5, and there's a Y9B4 or something like that as well. There's two sensors there. There's only one that is reporting failure. But apparently this can also fail inside the actually module itself on those frog wires. So I'm not sure yet if I'm going to repair this, or if I'm going to send these Mechatronics to these places that can actually test everything and repair it, and they give some warranty on these things, because obviously this is not my car, so I don't want to be here doing this twice. Even less give the car back in case if the problem is elsewhere. Because the sensor is not always failing, it's going to be for me nearly impossible to see if by just putting the new sensor if I fix the problem, although I can obviously give the car back. The guy can drive the car for a while before he actually, this car is for sale by the way, as you can see in there, before he sells the car. But even that is a little bit, at least if we send it somewhere where they can properly connect the Mechatronics to some sort of a rig, a test rig or something like that, and they can test it properly, that will be always better. But for the time being, guys, all I'm going to take you through is how to get now the Mechatronics out, and then I'll show you which sensor exactly we are talking about. Okay, yes, I could get the Maxis, I could get the Star out and show you absolutely everything in there, on the schematics and all that good stuff, but for the time being there's really no point. If you look for these Mechatronics, if a quick Google search, guys, you're going to find loads of pictures, loads of people that have been having this issue on these cars, so this is nothing new, to be fair with you, but I'll just take you through. It might be that when we get to the actually sensor, it might be that is something that obvious that we're going to say 100% my problem was here, and I'm confident that we can fix it ourselves. The sensors are for sale on eBay and some other places. They have them for sale, just the sensors themselves, so it's not something that is too complicated to replace. But we'll see as we go along how we're going to do this. So for the time being, guys, just stay there. We're going to put the car in the air, drain the oil from the gearbox, and try to see if we can get our Mechatronics out. Okay, so the car is in the air, it's on the ramps to the back. I haven't drove the car, I just raised the car with the two jacks, one on each side, put the ramps underneath, and then here we have the jacks and these stands. But the first thing I've seen is look at the state of this sump. It looks to me like it's leaking. Look at that. It looks like the rust has gone through. Oh, come on, it's a little bit windy today. So yeah, it is in a certain state. It doesn't look to me that's very good. Right, the drain is here. There is a tiny bolt at the top, right there. That seems to me like, I can't really see it. It seems to me like it's a sort of a filler, but to be fair with you, we can feel this through the top, so I'm not going to worry with that. It might be that it's not a filler and I'm just looking at this wrong. Probably it's not. Anyway, that's the drain. They said to me they did an oil change on these. I'm not sure if I would do an oil change on this. The sump had a heat in here, as you can see, and it's that rusted. There's oil coming through. Look, is in a really bad shape, this thing. Look, it's in a really bad shape, this thing is. I don't know if I'm not gonna replace this. Anyway, let's gonna drain the oil and remove the sump, and then see if we can remove the Mechatronics. Okay, so the sump has been removed. We are now going to remove the filter, and then from what I've seen, there is a plug right there at the back of the top. I'm not sure yet how it comes out, but I'm sure we will figure it out. But yeah, for now we're going to take the filter, let it to drain a little bit more until we make sure there is no oil left, and then we'll take the Mechatronics, which I believe is this bit here. We'll see how it comes out. Never took one apart, or actually never took one out, so but yeah, it's going well. And yeah, the sump is really in a state, to be fair with you. I can't believe they did an oil change on these and they left this sump the way it is. We'll have to inspect properly to see how close it is to get through to the inside. Might be that the oil in there was not even coming from inside, I don't know yet, but we'll have to inspect that later and see if we're going to replace the sump or not. But for now, it's going to pull the filter out and go from there. Okay, so just got unplugged. To unplug this, you have this little red tab at the top, Okay, the tab originally is like this. You just push it that way, so you pull it the other way. Oh, damn it. Now I'm gonna have to do something to push it the other way. Anyway, you push it that way, and then that will allow you to push this down, otherwise you can't do it. So now I'm gonna have to pull this way somehow. Damn it. Let's see if I can. Yeah. So now oh, damn it. Go the other way. Oh, there we go. Now it went the other way. There we go. Okay, so there we go. So it goes that way. So once you push it back in, you're going to push it this way to lock the tab in place. And then it's just a rubber seal here around this plug. So this is going to drop down, no problem. So now I'm ready to start to take the screws out. We have a few screws here, so, or bolts I would say. I have 2 here. Then you have these 4 around here where the filter goes. Right here, these 4, they did come out. Then you have about, I think it's 8 at the other end. So all these big bolts here around, they all have to come out. Okay. So, and then it should just drop down. So that's what we're gonna do. Guys, just a quick note here, because it looks like it's not just these 4 bolts. I think I need to remove those 2, and there's another one right here at the back. So I believe I need to take these 3 as well. Otherwise it will not come out. I might be wrong, but I think I need. If we didn't have to, I probably should have turn on the star machine and just look how this comes out. It will be quicker. But to be honest with you, I'm not scared of taking these, because we'll never be splitting the Mechatronics in half, because the Mechatronics, it has bolts from the top, and that's what holds the Mechatronics together. You can see the bolts here coming through in certain places from the other side. So I'm not scared of splitting the Mechatronics. I'm going to take these 3 bolts as well, but I think they will need to come out. If they don't need to come out, I will correct myself as we go along. Okay, and there it is, the beast. Let me show you. Let me pull it. Oh. I'm not too bothered now that it drips a little bit into the cardboards, etc. Let me pull it forward. Okay, so here it is. The Mechatronics and the electronic module. I will be indeed explain you in a bit exactly what usually fails on this, but not before showing you the inside of the Mechatronics, in case you guys are interested. Not inside the Mechatronics, the inside of the CVT. So we're gonna crawl in there again. So another thing that we're gonna have to be very careful when we put everything back on is to make sure everything links there. So this is the gear selector that goes inside the car. We need to make sure that links and connects exactly where it should be. There we have the CVT chain and the 2 plates that they go close together as the car needs to speed up, etc. And yeah, that's about it. So it looks like there's 1 sensor there that reads in there. There's 2 sensors. They go where they go. Oh, there he is. So one goes into that hole in there to read from that relictor wheel in there. The other one goes on that one in there. That reads right at the top. Right, so nothing more to see. That's where the plug goes, and there's not a lot to see here, to be fair with you. It is just what it is. It's a quite simple design, to be fair with you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get out of under the car, and let's going to do some inspection on those sensors. Okay guys, and here we have it on the bench. So the pin I've showed you on a linkage that comes from the gearbox, from the gear selector, it needs to go right here in this middle. It has these chamfers, so you just kind of need to pull it on the right place, and then this will just slide in there. So make sure when you put it back, you make sure this goes in place. So what we're going to do now is we're going to remove the electronic side of things, which it takes a few bolts, I think. So it takes a bolt in there, and that one, then that one, the ones for the valves, another one in there, the one for the valves, and I think there's another one back there, another one there, another one there. So I'm sure you will figure out how to remove this. So we're going to split this in two. But before we do that, obviously this is the original module, 020908. It doesn't have any signs of ever being sent to repair. So this looks to me all original. There's no marks everywhere. Everything looks perfect. However, when we look here, obviously someone, and this filter looked very clean to me when I looked through there, and this filter is actually marked 16/12/2021, and that was manufacturing date, so end of 2021. So this probably is brand new. I don't know when it was replaced, but I might ask the owner if they replaced that when they did the oil change or if they didn't. But still, that looks like quite clean to me. So I don't know. And so to change, before I remove this, to change these sensors, you can buy these sensors separately on eBay, etc. They are not that expensive. They are about £40 or so. And then you take these things off, you pry these out, and they go inside. Anyway, the problem is these are also known to fail in here. Inside here where the module is these frog wires that I've showed you in the past. They are prone to fail in there, and I'm not very keen. If this was my car, probably I'll change these two sensors and I'll put it back and see how it goes. But because it's not mine, I think I'm gonna send this to repair, where they can actually most likely open this and check everything. I'm not very keen to open this. I don't know, there's a hole in there, so I guess oil goes inside of this as well. It's probably covered in silicone. I don't know, guys. I'm not very keen to touch something like this. Something that is so difficult to get to. If it was something easy to get to, probably I would have a go at it. But guys, you see the work you need to go through just to test it. So I'll have to put everything back on, fill it with oil, drive it. Then if something is wrong, I would have to go through this process again. For something that is not my car, I'm not going to do it. So I might send this to repair. I don't know who I'm going to send it to. I'm going to have to do a little bit of digging, but that's what we're going to do. But we're going to split this first, and I'll show you this split it, and then we'll go from there. Okay, all the bolts are out, and I've been keep saying this, I need to get better light to put in here, but so that splits like this. Okay, so to pay attention here, the only thing I can see really is this rubber o-ring. I don't know if you can see in there. There's a rubber o-ring in there. Okay, that we now might need to be careful when we put it back to make sure it's there and in place. And this is the module. So this is the module, guys. There it is. It's a Temic module. So that's what it goes. So that rubber seal is what goes here into the pressure sensor. As you can see there, there's a pressure sensor right here. So this is the module. It's a Temic. And so the bits we could do now is we could split these covers here. That comes into the sensors, and that shows the lines or the lanes that comes up to the sensors. Then I could check to see if they were proper attached. But again, I'm going to try to get in touch with a few companies, see what they say. I want to know exactly what they do before I send them, because if they just replace the sensors, I can do that myself. If they actually go inside this module here to see if those frog wires are connected. Okay, and this is like 2 weeks later. Obviously, we had Christmas, New Year. So today is the 9th of January. And I got the module back today. Just got it out of the box. I do confirm two things. One is the same module, because I put some marks on it. And it is the same sensors, because I put some marks on it. Although they have not even clean them properly. So, but it's the same modules and the same sensors, which means that they have not replaced the sensors. So tends me, which is for me to believe that was nothing wrong with the sensors. And if I haven't mentioned at the back of the video, I will mention it now. I was not even very clear that would be, I was not very convinced either that the sensors would be the problem. That's not where typically these modules fails. They fail inside of here, and indeed they have been there as well, because you can see they have cut the wall here, the side wall, probably to put something here to be able to pry the module open to take the cover, and then they put something else here obviously to cover it up. So that's where the fault was. They sent a kind of a diagnostics with it, if you will. I believe this is a general sort of diagnostics for this particular module and faults, because I never had, I think it's the second one, the P1939 for the secondary speed sensor. I think I never had this fault. The only fault I was having was the top one for the output speed sensor. I believe it was the 0722 P1826. That was the one I was having, although I can quickly check on my phone if that was correct or not, but I think was just the one. Either way, it was just one fault. I never seen the two sensors. The fault for two sensors in there was always just for one of them. So I think this is general sort of description of the fault, so which is not very good, to be fair with you. But another thing that was not very good was that I've asked them politely if they could send me a picture from under the microscope to show me where the broken, I think it's called frog wire. I keep calling them frog wires. I don't know if that's the correct term or not. That's how I call them, is frog wires. So I don't know about, I'm going to take a little bit through there to explain it better where or what that means, a broken frog wire. But I think that's what they're called. But obviously this just shows to me that was this particular fault. And as I was saying, I request them to send me a picture from under the microscope of that particular broken connection, and they said they don't do that. That is against their policy. To be fair, over the phone they came across as if what they do is some sort of cutting edge technology or something that no one else does, or something very secretive. The guy made it to sound like, wow, too complete. And honestly, guys, I've done that in the past on this video here for the Mercedes, for the turbo actuator, and years before I've done that on this one as well for the Mariva, which fails with the same issue. And again, I would have happily done the same on this module. The reason why I sent this particular module to repair, and I know some of you guys prefer to see me obviously open the module myself, and I would happily do this. There is 3 reasons why I haven't done it. One is because of who this car belongs to. I don't need to say much more. Take your own conclusions. 2 is because if I haven't mentioned it, I'll mention now. This particular car is for sale, so it was a big risk for me to do the repair myself, and then if for any reason something would be wrong and would come back at least with the same fault, I would feel very, very bad if I would charge anything to try to go through these again. And then, as you can imagine, it would be very bad for the guy as well to sell the car, and then a week later or 2 days later, 3 days later, the car comes back with this fault. And third is, following on that, is the fact that if this was a module easy to access, I would probably attempt to do it, because it would be easy for me to get there and get again and to try to repair it again or whatever. But look where this module is, guys. Look how much you need to get to. Is a lot to do. Is a lot to do to get to this particular module. You need to drain the gearbox, etc, etc. So I didn't want to have to go through that again. So I preferred to actually pay to someone, and that way, if something goes wrong with this, it's not my fault. It's not my problem. They gave 2 years warranty. Okay, so if anything fails, that's not my problem, basically. Obviously, in this case, guys, is also the fact that you need to drain the oil. You need to recover the oil if you want to use the same oil. In this case, guys, I think I've showed you already. I'm using the same oil, so I've filtered the oil, as you can see here. If I haven't showed you, I don't know if I mentioned that back in the video or not, but I filtered the oil. I bought an extra liter of oil because obviously some that is on that tray I'm not going to recover that because it's too dirty, so we'll have to top up. I recovered about 4.2 liters, and you need about 5 liters of oil when you do this kind of job, so I bought another liter just to top it up and to make the 5 liters. But basically, guys, what fails in here now, you might be asking, and I want to make sure I show you everything. So there's only 2 things that can fail in here. One of the things I much doubt that would fail. I much doubt that if you Google companies that do this kind of repairs, you see straight away 4 or 5, well, maybe more than that, companies that claim they can do this. Now, if these companies are doing the repairs at the deepest level, we are talking about high precision equipment that will cost thousands and thousands. I don't see that being the case. I think most of these companies, and what the failure in here was on the actually frog wires, let's gonna call it frog wires, that goes from the pad interface that comes into the side and to the PC and to the PCB. So I'll show you now here in the microscope. I have pretty much everything set up to show you, and we are going to be using the module from the Mariva, from the ABS, and basically, guys, what happens in there is, let's put it like this. So as the wires comes from the sensor, so let's say this is the module that we have in there, the sensors are here, they come under those plastics all the way, and then they get to this end here, right, and they go inside the, actually let's gonna do this right so you guys understand. Now, before anything else as well, the way I know they haven't done nothing on the sensor side is because to get to the sensors you need to take this cover off all the way around. So this is one piece cover, and this slides out, and then inside here you have the wires, the connections that connects to there, to the valves, and then to the sensors. And you need to pry open all these tabs here. You see there? That one, that one, that one. There's tabs all the way around. There is no marks whatsoever. No even microscopical marks. There's no marks whatsoever on any of these tabs. So they haven't removed nothing on this side. All they did was take this cover off, which is where this usually fails. Anyway, so it's going to put it here like this. So imagine this module, this here is in there. It's very similar to this, to be fair with you. It's the same style, same, it's a ceramic PCB. I believe this is ceramic. So it's the same thing that you have in there. So this comes through there inside here, then comes fused inside the plastic, comes here, and it ends on something like this. So imagine the sensors are here, they come all the way, and then inside, underneath this cover, you have these pads. And these pads obviously then are connected to there, and then they connect to the actually PCB with these wires. This is what I call the frog wires. I've read somewhere once that name, and I stick to it. But as you can see, is these little wires here. Nope. Is these wires here. I believe these ones are aluminium, and this is what connects, what makes all the connections between there and the PCB. And what usually happens is here, at this end here, the connection breaks. This is spot welded. All these wires are spot welded. Obviously in the factory there's a machine that does this. Very interesting. If you look on YouTube, you're going to find videos of machines doing this. They are extremely fast, and they just spot weld this very quickly. And obviously this connection here splits, and usually when it does, you touch it like this, you grab it like this, and you move it, and it moves down here. Obviously it can happen on this side as well, okay, but majority of the times it happens on this side. But it can happen on both sides, okay? So that's what happens. The other place where you have wires like this, which I'm going to have to show you that under the microscope. Just hold on a second. Just before I show you under the microscope, I just want to point out a couple of things. So each one of these squares, so these are chips, okay? Another chip, another one here, another one there, and then there's some more. So judging by the size, I'm going to guess that this one here is going to be the microcontroller for the ABS unit in this case, but you're going to have the same in there, okay, or similar. This is the microcontroller, and when we're going to look on the microscope, you can actually see the different areas. You can see where the flash memory is, where the memory is, or why it looks to me, and then you can see all the other systems that are part of this chip, of the processor, the ROMs and all that stuff. Everything you can pretty much naked eye, you can see it. So these guys is roughly what you do have on a module like this, on a chip like this. Obviously this is now a microcontroller, but it's the same as you have here. The only difference is that this one is encapsulated. So imagine this chip being inside here, okay, it's way smaller than this, and then it makes connection into these pins to be able to then solder into these PCBs. So these ones are encapsulated, these ones are not. This is just the raw, let's say, the raw chip. But obviously, somehow, the same way the one in here connects to the outside, through these pins here, this one needs to connect somehow as well. And I'm going to show under the microscope how they do connect into these white areas, which is the PCB, all the lanes and all that good stuff. And I'm going to show how how this connects to there. Similar to this, but way smaller. So let me show you now. Let me actually try to do this without stop recording. Let me just do it like so. And now let me put the microscope like so. Let me bring this down somehow. Maybe like this. Look at that. Let me zoom in a tiny. Oh, there we go. Look at this. It looks like a small city. Look, this area there. Let me zoom out a tiny bit. So this is the chip. Look at that. So these green areas. You see those green areas? I think that's the memory side of things. I think that's the memory where the data is actually stored. It's a little bit difficult to... And then you have all these other systems. All these other areas are going to be other... I don't know where things are, but... Or what is what really. I just think this green area there that you see here, all this area here is memory. I believe that's what the memory is on these chips. Okay. Quite interesting, but look, what I wanted to really look at is how they interface with the outside world. Because, come on, you can do it like this maybe. It's very difficult to... Oh, there it is. You can see now. There we go. So you see these wires here? These are the same wires as I've showed you the other ones, but these ones are gold. These are gold wires that connect from the actually chip itself into the PCB. Okay, so this chip, so these wires, they connect straight from the chip into the PCB. In this case, they connect internally into these metal pins. They are encapsulated under this sort of silica, whatever this is, and then it connects to the PCB. So these wires here, guys, this is extremely small. I don't know if I have this calibrated. Probably I don't. I don't think I have this calibrated, to be fair with you. I don't think I have this. How do you measure with this? I never use this to measure, to be fair with you. I'd love to see the distance between these two things. It would be quite interesting. Oh, hold on, let me... I don't think I have ever calibrated this, so... No, it's not this. This is something else. Oh, this is another one, similar thing. From, I believe this was from a feet. Oh, now I closed that. That was not supposed to happen. Well, I really think I don't have Oh, is this one here? Okay. I think you need to measure on a steel. Yeah, there you go. So 0. Okay, these might not be calibrated, but as you can see, the distance in there tells you is 0.108 of a millimeter. I don't know if this is calibrated, but it doesn't look to me 0.1. It doesn't look like too far out, although it looks a little bit too, maybe. I don't think this is calibrated, guys, to be fair with you. Anyway, too much talking now. 15 minutes. Jesus Christ. Okay, so as I was saying, and this is what I was saying, to have something, to have equipment to be able to go and to solder or to touch anything in there, even the phone can't focus anymore, to have something to go that deep, I'll be very surprised. But I'm pretty adamant that the failure was on the outside connection wires, but again, they refused to send me any pictures or to give me any other information, which is a shame, but it is what it is. It's their policies, whatever. But definitely the next time I'll be opening one of these, I want to do it myself, unless it's a similar situation. But yeah, I would love to show you this. But again, guys, if you do your research, you're going to find out probably pictures, maybe videos. I don't know if anyone ever repaired one of these internally. But that's where they fail, guys. That's where they failed, and that's where this one failed. Anyway, with these out of the way, 15 minutes already of talking. I don't even know who's going to watch this video like this when I'm not really repairing anything. Anyway, what we're going to do now, guys, is literally... it's dark now. It's about 6 o'clock in the afternoon. It's completely dark. But what we're going to do now is we're going to put all these together, ready for tomorrow. And tomorrow, hopefully, I'll be putting these on the car, fill it with oil, blah, 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 give you a test, and hopefully give these back to the owner. So that's it. Again, careful with the seal. The seal is in there. So we're just going to put everything back on. And that's it. Whew, a lot of talking now. Right, let's gonna do this and then put this back on the car. Okay, so I was to get this done about 3 days ago. It was literally raining all day and I couldn't even touch it. So I'm tired of seeing this thing here. So let's see if we can get rid of this today. Before I do it, and just bear in mind that once I finish this clip, the next time you're going to see me is when the job is actually completed. I'm not going to take you through anything else. Obviously, the assembling is just the reverse of the removal, which I believe I really show you at the start. A couple things I'm going to raise first. So, first thing is I do recovered about just above 4.5 liters of oil. Obviously, the rest I still need to clean the pan. Honestly, I would have fit a new pan, but oh well. Obviously, there's some oil I could not recover. I believe the gearbox takes about 5 liters, so I have a liter that is actually on my other car. I need to take it from. I haven't took it from the car yet, but I bought an extra another liter of oil to obviously pull that up to 5 liters. That's the first thing I want to raise, and the second thing I want to raise is obviously the important part, which is torques. So the torques for this, they're gonna be here somewhere on the screen, so you can pause the video if you want, zoom in, do whatever, and see what the torques are for this. Okay, and the last torques you're gonna need is gonna be for the oil pan, which they are again gonna be here, so you can just pause again and see what they are. And that's the main things. Couple things I'm going to be careful is I'm going to lubricate these O-rings before I put these in, so this slides okay in the housing without ripping the seals or anything like that. So I'm going to lubricate this. I think you should do the same when you put it back. So I'm going to do this, and pretty much after this is just straightforward. Bolts in, etc, 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 to fill the gearbox, I'm going to fill it through the top of the engine, where actually I'll show you. So we're going to fill the gearbox through, where is that thing? Right there, see in there? A little black cap here. You can barely see. Am I going to have to take this pipe off? There we go. Just like so. Okay, so there we go. So that's where you take the level off the gearbox. So we're going to pull this out, and that's where... Is it coming out? No, I think I need to press that little tab as well. There's a tab to press in there again, like we did on the other Mercedes. So anyway, I'm going to fill it through there. It's going to be the easiest way. And that's it. And honestly, the next time you're going to see me is going to really be when this is all done. Take advantage of the weather while it's not raining, etc, etc. So see you in a... Okay, just finished it off. 5 liters of oil, everything's in place, everything torqued, etc, etc, etc. So now we're going to do is we're going to start this thing, and we're going to connect the maxi sys, but for now we're going to start it up, let it to warm up. Boy, this is high, Jesus. We're going to let it to warm up a little bit, and while the car warms up, we are going to drop the car out of the stands and all that good stuff. So I think I'm gonna have codes because I've turned the ignition on with the module unplugged, just to check, to make sure that that cable, that pin for the lever was right in place. So I moved it back and forwards, and I was on my own, so I came up here, turned the ignition on to obviously unlock all of this, put it to drive, then went downstairs, then went into the car. I've seen where the position of that sliding bar was, then came up here, put it back into park, and seen that he moved across. So obviously just to make sure he was engaged correctly, which he was, and I think I'm gonna have codes for that, but for now that's just this. So let's kind of drop the car, make sure there is no leaks, although I already checked before I started the car, there is no leaks, but now with the engine running we're gonna make sure. I might just try, I don't know if I should do this. Okay, reverse. Okay, I can feel the RPMs kind of changing when I put this in reverse and drive. So obviously the gearbox is indeed obviously engaging, etc. So anyway, enough talking, let's gonna drop the car and then make sure everything's good, and we're gonna go for a drive. I don't have much fuel, but oh well, I hope I don't run out of fuel. We're gonna go for a quick drive just to make sure. I don't have enough fuel to test it by the looks of it, so we'll just go in off the road, come back, make sure it drives okay, and then we'll be up to the owner. But just bear with me, let's gonna do that, and then I'll be back in a minute and clear the codes, make sure there is no codes and all that good stuff. Okay, I really have no fuel to go anywhere other than at the end of the road, come back. I've loaded this live data. If you guys remember, that was the speed sensor that was faulting. Obviously now it's reading 0 because we are stationary. As soon as I move, that will start to read. Okay, I read the car is completely fault free. I've cleared the codes, turned the car off, turned it back on, rescanned the car. No codes came back, but obviously we haven't drove the car, so I'm gonna go for a drive. There's a couple things, or at least one thing more I want to raise, or I want to highlight, but we'll do that before we wrap up the video. For now, I'm just gonna go for a drive. Again, I can't drive for too long, but should be enough just to make sure the car is driving okay and there's no funny things happening. And then yes, so there's one thing more I want to highlight and then wrap up the video, but that will be in a second. Okay, just went for a quick drive and drove literally for 3 minutes, and I need to turn this thing off because it's probably running on vapors. Right, did another quick scan on the car just now, and still no faults, so spot on. Now guys, it's a matter of driving the car and see if it's okay. 2 years warranty on that unit, so that should last at least the 2 years, we hope. The thing I want to highlight, or that I want to talk about it just very quickly before we wrap up, is the company. I'm not, because some of you probably are going to ask, I'm not going to disclose the company. There's plenty of companies out there doing this, so you guys can do the same. Ring them, see what they say, see what work they do on them, and go from there, guys. This particular company, I was not very pleased with the fact that their policy is not to share with the customers the problems with the units from the customers you send to them to repair. I think that's a little bit, it can put a lot of people off. It kind of, you know, I think it's bad. This is the same, guys. If you go to your doctor and he tells you need a surgery, you ask, so what are you going to do? Oh, we can't tell you. What? Or if you take your car to a garage to repair, they fix the car, you ask what the problem was, and they tell you they can't tell you, or they can't show you what the problem is. It's a little bit odd, isn't it? I think. They made this repair to look something wow, out of this world, which is not really the case. And one thing I promise you guys, the next time I have one of this, really, just hold a second. And it was actually the owner of the car just ringing me. Right, as I was saying, I do promise you one thing. The next time I have one of this, I hope it's not in the same circumstances and I can actually open the module myself, show you exactly what's wrong with it, and repair that myself. So that would be way more interesting. But still, guys, I'm sure there's some information here that can help someone out there. And hope you learned something. If you do still have any questions or any comments, you know exactly how it works, guys. Just put them below. And like always, thanks for watching.